Okay, so just a quick one. I was going to say a quickie, but I have a lot of mucky-minded friends in my Facebook, so you'll know who you are. Just a quick one for caregivers and close ones of someone who's suffering, and that's not specific to fibro. It can be to any kind of illness that flares up and has better periods and less good periods, and or people under treatment, for example, like people who are having chemo or something like that, who just incapacitated for a certain amount of time. It's I've often heard, yes, but I keep asking him or her if I can help them and they never answer, so what can I do? I'd like to help, but I don't know what to do. And the other side of the coin is, yeah, always asking but never doing anything, that's not helping, and blah, blah, blah. So it's important to know that when we're in a really bad phase or a bad moment, or whether it's a day, a week, whatever the length of a treatment, for chemo patients, for example, your brain is in overload, kind of, because the pain takes up so much space that it fogs your brain, it clouds your brain, and sometimes even coherent speech is difficult because it takes too much concentration. That's why it's taking everything out of me doing these videos, because I have to stay concentrated so that I don't go off on 500 different tangents and sound totally wacky. And also not to forget the train of thought I was on, because it can happen that you'll just have a blank and that's it. Anyway, to come back to the subject, so our brain is in overload. So even if we know perfectly well that there's laundry to do, shopping to do, cleaning the floor, whatever, we'll be incapable of answering you, saying, oh, do you think you could do my windows or my shopping or this or that? Maybe an exception would be, could you drive me to the doctor's because I don't feel capable of driving, or something like that. But aside from that, the more you ask us what you can do to help, the less answers you'll get, because it won't register. So what I'd suggest is, if you're close enough to want to come and help anyway, you're close enough to be able to just come, or if you're living there, well, it's even easier. Just look around you and do what needs to be done. Two of the hardest things to do are cleaning the floor and making a meal, for example, because making a meal, maybe if it's even if it's a simple meal, it involves standing, it involves concentrating not to burn yourself, it involves all the food, it involves a lot of, even for the simplest recipes, when you're really in a bad state, a spaghetti sauce you've made 100 times or 1,000 times in your life, you'll still have to going to have to really think about it, because otherwise you'll mix up the ingredients. So if you want to help, make a meal, or cook a meal at your place and take it to the person, or just turn up and say, oh, I've come to clean the floors or something. If you want to help, just do it, don't ask, because the more you ask, the less we'll be able to register and answer. And finally, it gets to this kind of awful misunderstanding where you have those of us who are lucky enough to have people who offer to help, because I know that a lot of people don't have that blessing in their lives, but that's another chapter. But those of us who are lucky enough to have people around to want to help, it'll be appreciated. It's a weird, it's probably a weird concept for people who aren't sick, but it really is important. It avoids these misunderstandings where the person who's suffering thinks they're never helped. It's always mouth, talk and no walk. And the people who want to help say, well, every time I try and help, I'm rejected. It's not because we're rejecting the help, it's because it's just not feasible. I had a friend who had proposed to come and help me just do a big spring cleaning in my place, which was very welcome. The thing is, I had to go and fetch her and then bring her back here and then drive her back and then come back here. Just the idea that, that was too much for me. So I had to refuse the help because I couldn't do the to and fro part. So Anyway, I'll go a bit further on the subject now. I've just realised it's getting dark. I hope I'm not, you can see me. I'll go further on the subject maybe another time. We could have a discussion maybe on in the comments or on Facebook or something about it, what other people think. But I have noticed that it is quite a common denominator in these frictions between potential caregivers or help givers and the people who are sick. And it's a bit of a pity because all it needs is a bit better communication. It's not that obvious to be able to say, look, I don't know, do what you want, just help, you know. So anyway, I might drop in to say good night or not, depending. If not, well, consider this a good night and sleep well. Bye, see ya.